Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another album review. My name is Christian Eschbach. Hey, everyone. All right, so as previously promised, we are back with the Rush Archives. And if you did not catch my previous review, I talked about Rush's first album. Rush Archives was a Canadian release done in, I believe it was 77, re-releasing the first three Rush albums in their entirety as one set. It is listed as a box set on Wiki, although I don't like it being referred to as a box set. Now, what's really interesting is I honestly always thought Caress of Steel came out before Fly By Night. But if I go by this, it was the opposite. And I've already talked about the Fly By Night album. That was album review, I believe, 220. If you want to go back and double check, you can go watch that. And we are talking about Caress of Steel today. All right, so, excuse me. When it comes to Caress of Steel, or I knew two of the songs on here already. I knew Bastille Day and I knew Lakeside Park. Both of those I knew from previous live albums. Bastille Day basically sounds the same on here, except for more studio production than the live version. And Lakeside Park, I actually prefer the version already here versus the live version. There's just something to it. It has more of that vibe of actually being in Lakeside Park than listening to the live version gave off, you know. My mom actually grew up in this Lakeside Park, this specific Lakeside Park. Not that she grew up there, sorry, she spent time playing there as a kid. And I myself have even been to Lakeside Park because, you know, it's where you gotta go, man. Lakeside Park definitely. Now the songs are not in that order. The album opens up with Bastille Day, which is the perfect way to open up this album. Great energy, great everything. And what's really interesting, and the reason why I mentioned earlier, I always thought that Fly By Night and this one were in reverse order, is I actually always thought that, because of the stories I always heard, that the label was giving them a hard time after Caress of Steel, but I always thought that Fly By Night did well commercially, and I was wrong about that apparently. So, um, the other thing that's really interesting for me is, I mean, I grew up listening to Fly By Night all the time as a kid, and my dad didn't own the first album or this one, and you know, he never seemed overly interested in it, and I was always kind of thrown off by that. And I feel even more thrown off by it now, only due to the fact that after listening to this and then listening to 2112, I'm really kind of surprised my dad didn't get into this particular album more. Now, I think I'm going bald. Oh my god, they could have left that one off. Musically, decent tune. Lyrically, whoo, no. That was. I'm gonna say that must have been a Geddy Lee thing. No, that was a Peart thing, and wow, oof, that is not one of his better ones. Lakeside Park, like I said, love it. I think it's fantastic on here. It's a great rendition. The Necromancer. Okay, so I've heard a lot of shit talked about this song because back in the day when Rush was, you know, struggling, and it really is weird that they were struggling so much, because the first album really was such a great, tight, blues-based rock album that, you know, even for its time, it should have punched out a little more than it did. And then the Fly By Night album, same thing. You know, not as blues based. Definitely, you could tell that Neil was in the band at this point. The drumming has definitely changed. The lyrics have definitely changed. So you know that makes a thing. And then going into Caress of Steel, same thing. You know, like you still got that momentum. But when you hit the Necromancer, man, you're hitting the first time, or not the first time. Like they've already done Bytor and the Snow Dog, and the Necromancer would be like, going another step further with making it even a little more complicated per se, and only doing it in 3 parts as opposed to what is it? Bytor is in 4 parts. Yeah, Bytor is in 4 parts. But the part that I never realized, because no one ever talks about, is myself included. Everybody always goes on about 2112 and how it takes up a whole side of an album. And that's how they followed up after the Necromancer, after everybody complained the Necromancer was too long. But I didn't realize that the second side of Caress of Steel is arguably one song. At least it's a story all into its own, and the way it flows. Like, I mean, you listen to enough Rush, even listen to the Necromancer, and then go into Fountain of Lament. I actually had to go double check on this one because I wanted to make sure that it actually was a concept, because it totally, listening to it, felt like one of their concepts. You go through, there was a definitive kind of narrative and storyline, just even within the music, without the lyrics. But even in the lyrics, you could pick up a storyline that was going on in there. And I'm not sure if they actually did one giant song with multiple parts, or if it is a concept EP. Best way I know how to put it, because it is definitely a definitive narrative. And, because you got Fountain of Lament, which contains In the Valley, Didax and Narpets, No One at the Bridge, Panacea, Bocas Plateau, and the Fountain, or Bacchus Plateau and the Fountain. It really is. I can't talk about it as one song, because to me it really is this one giant long narrative with this great story that goes on throughout it, with all this different, all the things you want out of Rush, man. Like everything you could really ask for out of Rush is what goes on the second side of this album. And it really does spark the imagination, and it really does get the intellect flowing and producing and generating and using a bunch of words that just, make it sound like I'm, putting a lot of thought into this. No, realistically though, when it comes to what I call intellectual rock or intellectual metal or whatnot, basically you got Rush and Iron Maiden, kind of, sort of. More so Rush than Iron Maiden, but still Rush and Iron Maiden, right? I absolutely fell in love with the first Rush album after listening to this. I still love Fly By Night to this day. A lot of that is warm, fuzzy memories with my dad. A lot of time listening to Fly By Night in the car with my dad. Caress of Steel, I really dig it on here, man. And I don't know if I dig it as much as the other 2 albums. With multiple plays, quite possibly. And I will definitely have to probably go out now and pick this up on compact disc. Caress of Steel, that is, specifically. Because this is, like the original 77 Canadian issue archives that came out of my uncle's record collection. And they are in pristine mint condition after all these years. And sadly, there's a little tape on here, but it was like that when I got it. And it's understandable with all the weight from the vinyl in there, because this thing, which, really is designed for 2 compact, or 2 vinyl, really only holds, and this is what you got in here, that's it. Is only really designed to hold 2 vinyl, and it was holding 3 vinyl, so just the weight alone would put, that extra weight and damage on it. But, I mean, we're talking like near mint, if not mint, on all 3 of the LPs. And it's one of those ones where I really do enjoy these albums, so I really don't want to overwear the vinyl, because stuff like this means a lot to me, not only for sentimental purposes, because the story behind this is great, But um, also just because the music itself, man, it really is something that's magical and timeless. And there is something about putting on vinyl and just sitting there listening to the vinyl itself, looking at the notes and whatnot. I mean, not a lot on this one, unfortunately, but there's just something about that when I put these on, it really takes me back into there, like, I could easily put myself in my uncle's shoes, spark up a joint, throw on the album, chill out, relax. Anyways, folks, those are my thoughts, my views, my opinions. Let me know what you think. Rush Archive, I highly recommend. If you can find it, get it. Especially finally like a digitally remastered version. Go for it. You get all 3 albums that way. It's great. If not, find all 3 albums in digital remasters other ways, right? But Carissa Steele, one of those albums that always seems to catch a lot of crap, and I don't think it deserves it. I really do think it needs to be revisited, and I do think people really need to give it a serious listen. Anyways, folks, those are my thoughts, my views, my opinions. Let me know what you think. That's what the comment section is for. On your way down, you'll see the like button, subscribe button, bell for notification. Please hit those. In the comments, you'll see a couple links. Feel free to click on those. Otherwise, peace, love, take care.